Hey,
Hey, welcome.
welcome.
You made it
You made it.
to another Don't Worry Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. This is the show that you wanted to attend. That's why you're here.
That's exactly why.
That's why you're here. And if there was any other reason, well, um, I don't care. The only reason to me is that you wanted to be here, so you are. If you're being forced by someone, you can leave. Yeah, don't feel
You
forced.
can leave, man.
You can leave. Yeah, I don't want
You
you
know what?
here.
You can leave.
Yeah, if you don't want to be here, I don't want you to be here. That's not true. You can be here even if you don't want to be here. I
That's
won't
right.
kick you out.
That's right. We're still gonna love you
That's right.
anyway because that's what we do.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly true. All right, well, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we talk about the issues, the struggles, and the problems going on in your guys' life. Feel free to submit any topics, anything you want us to cover. You can go to don'tworrywednesday.com and submit a topic there, and we'd be happy to do our best to give you our best on whatever it is you give us. We aren't professional psychologists, therapists, or anything along those lines, but we can give you our best in terms of our own experiences, things we've encountered in our life, and things we've worked through, things we're currently working through, and just do our best to be a friend along your journey. Because a lot of times, we do know how to get through this. We do know how to get through our problems.
Mm-hmm.
But having an extra perspective, having someone to bounce ideas off of, having someone to just talk about the problem makes it a lot easier to get through. And also, having someone to relate to, or even just someone to encourage you, even if they can't relate. Just a little bit of encouragement can go a really long way. So that's what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm.
Encourage you, lift you up, and help you on your journey. Um, Unfortunately, we can't be by your side 24/7, though, I mean, that'd be, I guess we could if you wanted to just stream our, like, watch our content 24/7, but it's not quite the same. But uh, we can't be there for you 24/7. Despite despite you being worthy enough for such a deed, um, we just don't have the time. So we've committed 2 hours every Wednesday night to be able to do our best to give to you guys. You guys are awesome. We love you guys. We love seeing you in the chat. We love all of your funniness and your great advice that you share. So feel free to just chat and say whatever you want. No one's gonna judge you. But also feel free to help. You guys have been very helpful in the past, and we always love to see what you guys have to add on to any of these topics that we discuss, because you guys have a lot of really good things to say. And
Mm-hmm.
so thank you, and we appreciate that. And we love being here. We love being with you guys. You guys are awesome. Yeah. So I think I covered everything. If you have a topic, go to don'tworrywednesday.com.
Yeah. And
Um,
Wolfrix just submitted one, and I just processed it.
oh man. Oh, did you process it?
I did.
How did you do that so fast? Man, I processed one earlier and it took me like
I mean, it was
10
super
minutes.
long. I had to read the whole thing.
Oh, was it that long? Okay, well, I guess you're just it's superhuman, man.
Yes.
Well, you do read
Super,
a lot, though.
super duper human I am.
Yeah,
Human I am.
that's right. Human I am. It sounds like an element on the periodic table.
Oh,
Human I
it
am.
is. Humanium.
Humanium. Humanium. It's the element of human just broken down into and defined into one molecule.
Yes.
Humanium. Oh
Humanium.
man, the most sinful element ever.
Yeah.
Humanium.
Indeed, it
What
is.
really brought the destruction of the planet? No.
Humanium.
Humanium. Nah, humans are awesome. Anyone who thinks that we're destroying the world is silly, because when
But
you
they're
look at the
right.
world and you see how much we have done for it, in terms of we've increased the amount of plants on this world by like 6, 7 times. And then we've also created the desert in the Saharas. Okay, that's not a good thing. Okay, I guess it's up in the air, but I think we did a good job of taking care of it when we try. And when we forget to try, we can also be very destructive.
Yes, we're good at
Mhm.
destroying and we're good at
Yeah,
creating. We've been
we are.
given that
We are.
power of creation and destruction.
That's true. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no other animal has done as much for the earth as we have, but also no other animal has done as much against the earth as
That's
we have.
that's
So
true. That's true.
I don't know if it's really fair to just say one of them and not the other. What is a man? Yeah,
A
a miserable
miserable
pile of
pile of
secrets.
secrets.
Why secrets? Come on, let's not be secretive.
I got all kinds of secrets, man. You're never gonna
Hmm.
know them because they're
Hey, welcome
secret.
August. Happy Wednesday. Oh,
It's the secret
that
Joe
works.
lore that doesn't get.
Secret and show lore.
There are very few people that know much of the secret Joe lore.
Mm.
Cats, you keep telling yourself that.
I know all of them. Well, she does have the Book of Job,
She does. That's true. She
but it's
does have the
and
Book
it's
of
in her
Job.
heart. I don't know. I don't know how she reads it, but um, she knows all the
Like a
secrets.
book, because it's the Book of Joe. So Cats
Well,
reads it
yeah, I
like a
know, but
book.
I guess she reads it like a book. But how do you read something that's in your heart?
Like a book.
How do
Because
you
my heart
listen
is
to
on
your
display.
heart?
Like look at it.
Yeah,
You
that's
see
true.
it. It's right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Open fully. Yeah.
It's just it's just some people are better at reading it than others, right? And so like some people notice more than others notice, right?
Yeah, yeah. Whoa,
I'm so
whoa,
glad you're
that's
illiterate. I'm
hilarious.
so glad you're illiterate being a teacher and all, like
Yeah.
that's a very helpful skill. Oh, it's a
Yeah,
picture
yeah,
book.
yeah. It's a picture book. It's like that's a good thing.
Oh my goodness.
All right, well, perfect start to a show.
Yeah,
How
it's
you
great.
guys doing today? How you guys doing? Are you guys doing well? I mean, many of you this is the end of your Wednesday, so did you guys have a great day? Some of you it might be morning. Did you have a good morning?
Might be
Hope you
Thursday.
did. Might be Thursday. Might
Wednesday
be
might have been
Thursday at 2
yesterday.
a.m. Right. How you doing, Joe?
Man, I'm fat-nastic.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could get a little fatter, but Nastic's pretty high up there. I can see
Hey,
that.
that's the truth.
That's the truth. It's true. I, however, cannot get any fatter. I have tried. It does not work.
You could. Just give
I
yourself
could.
just give yourself some time.
Yeah. Well, okay. Fair. Fair. We'll see. Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I'll go on a McDonald's diet, then I'll get fat.
You
That's
might.
proven. It's a proven method. It works. Ooh, anniversary with your partner this weekend. 8 years. That's awesome. Way to go. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
I don't even know what you're talking about because I didn't read it.
That's okay. You don't have to. I've just I said it out loud, so I guess that wasn't very helpful.
I
But good
still
thing
like
Joe is.
it's like this, thing, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting though. Here's the deal. I had a major breakthrough with my therapist. My therapist, is like we're getting close to shutting down like my therapy sessions and everything, right? And so like
Hmm.
and we had this moment in my last session where it was like, I finally admitted that maybe
Mm.
deep down somewhere the door is slightly cracked open to the
Mm.
idea
Mm.
of romance. Nobody can hear
Clap,
you
clap, clap, clap,
clapping.
clap. I know. Click, click, clap, click, clap, clap. Yeah, clap, click, clap. Jingle, jingle as the rings go.
Well, thank you, cats.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what
Way
my
to go, Joe.
that's what my therapist Kate said too. She's like,
Mm.
she's like, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. Like
Yeah,
to
that's a huge step, man. That's awesome.
and part of it probably is just that I don't know what it is because you guys all know like the experiences,
Mm.
right? So I don't even really,
Yeah.
maybe I don't even know what it is, and so like what my mind thinks it is totally wrong and off track. And so, like maybe, but deep down there's like there's an openness to that connection at some point.
Well, that's a fair.
Just, yeah.
I think a lot of people, I mean, especially in the world today, a lot of people have never experienced like a romantic relationship that was healthy. And they don't know what a healthy romantic relationship is. And some people have never even gotten the experience from like a second party, right? Looking at like the world around them, because like, their mom and dad are not healthy relationship, and then, their friends aren't good examples necessarily either. And so, yeah, it's a very fair thing to say, is like, I don't even know necessarily completely what that looks like. I mean, I might know what it looks like, but I certainly don't know what it is like in action in my own life, and how that could feel and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. And it's very true. And, it's crazy because the world that we live in is kind of like a veiled world pulled in front of our eyes that blinds us from the truth in a lot of ways.
Interesting.
And, like I sit there and I think about this kind of stuff and I journal about it. And I'm going to have to start another podcast, and I'm going to have to it's going to have to be like the angry podcast or whatever.
Oh.
I'm not going to read my journal.
You were just talking about your journal and you said, I want to start a new podcast.
Just
I was
gonna...
like, what?
No.
No one gets to read the book of Joe.
Very few people have ever seen any bits of my journal, and
and just the outside bits.
Yeah. It would be a rant. It would be it's going to be a podcast that just, it makes everybody angry.
Ooh.
It's going to make everybody upset. It's going to offend everybody, because I'm going to take shots at both sides, and I'm going to take shots at because all of us are guilty of thinking wrong in one degree or another in certain areas of our life. Now, we might be right about a lot of things too, but we've been so misled in so many areas, and the pendulum swings one way and then it swings the other way, and then we always swing it too far the opposite direction. Some group of people is oppressed, and then they get mad, and rightfully so, they work to change things, and that's good. But then what happens is that it starts to swing, and then and because of their passion, they get swung too far the opposite direction, and then we got to bring it back. So it takes another group of people to get upset to swing it back the other way, and then we're kind of in this back and forth, fighting with each other type of deal. And I don't know, there's something sinister at play. It smells like a fish that's been dead in my desk for a month, and I don't know, there's something about this that just, I don't know, it's sinister.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that show could be quite successful because people love to watch people rage.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh my gosh, Wolfric, swing, baby, swing. I was just listening to that song yesterday. I was playing drums to the Criminal Idol album. I like to do that.
Aw,
that's so fun.
that's awesome.
That's so fun. One of these days I'm
gonna
stream. One of these days I'm gonna stream myself drumming along with the Criminal Idol album. I gotta get my audio stuff figured out, man. I need your audio interface. My audio interface is garbage. Yep. So I can't stream that many microphones at once. It's crazy. But yeah.
Well, you know what? We should probably jump into the show here. The reason we're here, though the small talk is awesome. Aren't therapy sessions a waste for a person with average level problems?
That's a good question, Kawhi.
Not necessarily. It's a great question. Yeah. I mean, Joe, feel free to respond to that. I mean,
it depends. It depends because it depends on where you're at. It depends on different things you've experienced. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, and what is the definition of average level problems, right? Because everybody's threshold is a little bit different. And so, I don't think it's a waste ever But I do think there are therapists out there that try to just farm patients and keep them,
Mm.
like on the hook forever because they want regular customers. They look at it like that. They don't look at it as therapy. They look at it as like I need a repeat customer that I can count on. And so I'm not going to I'm just going to perpetuate this even if I do help them get better and whatever. So I'm fairly lucky to have found the therapist that I did because, she's like a no nonsense, no BS kind of person that just like psh, like we're going to get to the root of this problem, we're going to fix it, and then we're going to get you out of here, you know, like, which is great.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get.
Well, Kauai says uh, they to more define what they are meaning more clearly. They said like not affecting day to day. So problems that are not affecting your day to day, like how you feel or how you operate every day. Um, I would say this: if you can conquer those problems and you feel satisfied with how you solve them, then you don't need a therapist. You don't need anyone to talk to. You can do it just yourself, and that's fine. That's awesome. Um, but most problems that we not most, many problems that we face start out as problems that are not day to day, or problems that we can't see are affecting our day to day, even though
Mm-hmm.
they are.
Yep.
So I would say it kind of it's an open it I don't think there's a strong answer here. I get it because it's like, well, I don't want to pay money. That's fair. First of all, don't want to pay money for something that's going to be unnecessary that I can do myself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you judge whether you can do it yourself or not?
Right.
And I think that's the question you have to ask. Is like, is this a problem I've been able to solve on my own, or is this a problem that, for some reason or another, it just isn't going away? and and maybe it doesn't affect my day to day, but it affects me every once in a while. And to have that off my back would be a huge blessing, right? If that's where you're at, then if it's a huge blessing to have it off your back, even if it doesn't affect every day, then it's a huge blessing to have it off your back. Like then it's probably worth it to you. I
Mm-hmm.
suppose that's the question. Is like, I mean, you can work and you can make X amount of money every day,
Mm-hmm.
but the point of money is what? Ultimately, for you to live a happy and healthy life. If you've got those two things, then the money, like that, then you're using your money correctly, right? So if you're not happy and healthy, then the money should be going towards that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so even if it's not every day, it's just every couple of days or even like 3 times out of the month, you're experiencing something that's like, man, it feels a little bit crushing, feels a little bit oppressing
Mm-hmm.
or depressing or whatever. I think spending a little bit of money to get that solved is fine.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you
Yeah.
use that parameter, Kawhi, because that is the thing that when I noticed that these issues mentally were affecting my day to day, that was what pushed me to seek therapy. So it's
Hmm.
interesting you use that as the defining parameter because I was like, yeah, that was it. I remember, like I was struggling, and then all of a sudden, like I wasn't able to work, I wasn't able to focus, I wasn't able to do all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, holy cow, like this is not working out. And I was talking to a friend, and they were like, yeah, have you thought about seeing a therapist? And I'm like, I have. And I think that's a good idea. And I appreciate your second opinion because that's a good idea. Wolfrix, money
Yeah.
doesn't buy happiness. Then what is therapy? I don't think therapy necessarily makes you happy. Therapy can just help you sort through problems and, sometimes mental issues. And they can sometimes point out if there's something that you don't see or understand or whatever, so then you can deal with it. Happiness
Right.
ultimately is a choice. We get to choose
Yeah.
to be happy. Now, we can
You
face
can.
trauma. We may not be aware of the choice because we're blinded by trauma, we're blinded by abuse, we're blinded by a whole bunch of different things that are going on in our lives, but ultimately, on a day to day basis, yeah, it comes down to a choice. Am I going to choose to be happy?
Sure.
And
Yeah, you can have a boatload of problems and still be happy.
yep, yep,
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're
exactly.
they're not at war with each other. In
Hmm.
fact, your problems can lead you to happiness, if you will. You know. So problems are important to have.
Hmm.
Um, it's just a matter of making sure you work through them and not letting them destroy you. Because if
Hmm.
they don't destroy you, then they will make you stronger,
Yep.
right? And that will make you generally more capable of choosing to be happy.
Hmm.
And also, there's much more to life than just happiness. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure.
But sometimes you're right. Sometimes we don't need a therapist. Sometimes we just need a friend and we need to talk to him and we
Mhm.
need to just like get some stuff off our
Absolutely.
chest and then just sometimes just the act of talking about something brings it enough to light in our head that we can sort through it on our own. Like we say at the beginning of every show, you're probably smart enough to figure a lot of this stuff out on your own, but sometimes it just helps to bring it into the light so we can look at it and we can just kind of, we might be blinded because we're looking specifically at this one detail of the issue and we're not seeing the whole picture. When if we just saw this other side over here, that it might just make sense and something might click and we can, figure it out, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, and those are
Hmm.
things that a therapist can help. So a lot of
Yeah.
times we'll encourage people to seek therapy, especially some of these deep we've dealt with some pretty deep traumatic things on
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And man, I I
Yeah.
know I know
It's like
sometimes
we
sorting
can't.
through that you
Yeah.
really do. It would be a really good idea to find a professional, you know,
Hmm.
to be able to help with
Yeah. You
that.
don't always need one, but you know what? Sometimes they're really good help, and sometimes if you get a bad one, they'll hurt you more. So, it's a great question, Kawhi, and I think that therapy should be thought about. I mean, you should contemplate, it shouldn't be like, oh, I guess I need one
Hmm.
without actually thinking hard about it first. So it's a
Right.
great question. I think it's something you have to figure out on your own, right? But there's just maybe some tidbits to help you find your way through that because I mean, I've never had a therapist, but I've been blessed enough to not be in a position yet where I've felt like, geez, I can't find my way out of this.
Mm.
Or no one else in my friend group is able to help me out of this. Because I have awesome friends like Joe. And so it's been
So
really
sweet.
I've been really blessed and lucky. But hey, someday I might be in a position where I'm like, I don't know how to get out of this. Like, I'm gonna go have to see a professional who knows psychology better than I do.
Hmm.
Um,
You'll come to me and I'll
so
be like, Ryan, get a therapist.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, anyways, we've got some topics.
Hmm.
Alfonso has one for us. They posted in the chat. I think it would be good to get to his. But I think before that, let's do Wolf, since Wolf is here with us right now. And then maybe after Wolf, we do Alfonso, and then hopefully we can see if we get to Strawberry Paste or someone else.
Okay.
Um, does that sound good?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Good plan? All right.
I like that
All right, let's
plan.
start with this one.
All right, all right. All right. So what I will do
All
is
right, all right, all right.
hey yeah.
Now shake it. Shake, shake. Okay.
Shake. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Shake it
Okay.
like a Polaroid
We're
picture.
gonna get
Dun,
copyrights, right?
dun, dun, dun,
Because we
dun,
sound
dun.
just like the audio. Yeah.
Totally. Totally we do.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, so 7% of this income from this show is going to go to Outcast.
Go to no 7% of
Because of the
zero. What is
but we'll
that?
have to register the work with the Harry Fox agency or else they'll sue us or whatever, who knows,
Oh right, yeah.
whatever.
Great.
You learn all this
It's a
stuff
good
when
thing
you're a
we're
music production company. Like you
yeah.
learn all the proper channels and stuff for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. All right, yeah, I'll get this up on the screen so then we can
Awesome.
go through it. So
So this is from
here
Wolf.
it is.
You said I may be here, but sometimes I am not here. Okay, that's all right. Wolf, you can always rewatch it or play back parts. We might ask you some questions from time to time, but if you're not here and only, just not able to answer, no problem at all. We're just here to give you our best. But yeah, feel free to
Dude, I had the topic up
listen
on
to
the
it
screen the whole time.
more than once if you need. All right. This
I'm
is
kidding.
from
No, it's
Wolf.
not on the
It's
screen.
it's titled.
No, it's fast.
Wait, the
Okay, you're
title
good.
the title is Wolf. Shoot. Wow, that's great. This is from Wolf, and the title is Wolf. Topic summary. Okay. We're just gonna go into the question. I can see why you did this one so fast. The topic summary is as follows. Or sorry, the topic is as follows. How long does it take to get good at writing or singing? How long does it take to get good at writing or singing? From Wolf.
Hmm.
Well, that's a great question.
It is. You'll
You know,
notice that the summary is the same as the
is the same
topic.
as the topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's short enough you can do that, which I love when that's
Uh-huh.
the case. It makes it
Uh-huh.
real easy. That's why I said I could see why it was quick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So,
Still super
anyways,
humanium.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, how long does it take to get good at writing or singing? People, there's that common saying like put in your 10,000 hours. If you
Hmm.
got 10,000 hours in something, then you're definitely going to be good at it. Um, Maybe, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, it's it's a weird question because you even put good in quotes, which is important because the way I see it is like, what is good in
Mm.
terms of like, I think I think the best way to define what is actually good versus like, well, okay, what is actually good is what brings value to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because in anything you do, pretty much, the the determining factor of whether something's good or not, if it's good or bad, is not even necessarily the quality. It's it's how effective it is, right? It's the value of that thing in which you have done. If you did a painting, or if you did, if you sing, if you are writing lyrics, etc., etc. If people enjoy it and they find it valuable, then if there's a value to it that affects them, right? If it's effective, then it's good. And I think that's a good starting position to figure out what is good. Um, Sometimes you see things and you go, well, that's not very high quality. But the fact of the matter is, it still affected you. It's still affected lots and lots of people, right? And so even if it's not really good quality, we can look at it and objectively say, well, they did a good job because it affected a lot of people.
Mm.
And so, how long does it take to get good? I think that would be my best answer for good. What is good in this
Mm-hmm.
sense? But how long does it take to get good? I think there's a lot of, obviously it's different for everybody, but I'm interested to see what Joe has to say. So I'm gonna give it over to Joe. Joe, take it away. Give me your best. You're awesome. And Joe's really good at things, so
You're
I'm excited to see what
awesome.
he's got to say. Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's interesting. Ryan mentioned the 10,000 hours. Kawhi in the chat says it's 10,000 days now because Mr. Beast says so.
Mm,
So it must be,
mm.
that's actually must be true then. Um, and I like what Ryan was leading into here because how do you define good? How do you define getting good at something? How do you define being good at something? And I like his definition that how can you have an impact on people, um, with it? Can you have an impact with that, thing that you're doing? Can you affect people's lives with that thing you're doing? Are people going to be willing to listen to you? Is that your definition of good? Well, if that's your definition of good, then you might be good right off the bat. Because there are child prodigies and child savants that are just really, really good at whatever they pick up, whether it's music or writing or art or whatever. Some people are they have a natural inclination to do a certain thing. And so they get good at it really fast, good enough to the point where it impacts somebody's life, right? And so there's that definition of good. Another definition might be, are you good enough to be a professional where people will pay you to do it? Where you can make a living doing it or whatever, right? I mean, is that the definition of what would be good. And that would take different sets of skills, not just the skill you're developing, but then you also have to get into marketing or find some people that are good at getting your stuff out there so people will see it. And, so there's other skills at play if the definition is you want to do this as a profession or you want to make money, have people pay you to do it, or in our case, because we're music producers, to have stuff that's at a quality level that people will listen to it on Spotify or watch it on YouTube or whatever, and then you can make money through streaming. So these people that listen to us don't necessarily pay us directly, but through either ad revenue or through their subscription fees or whatever to these different platforms, that's how the money gets aggregated and paid to us, right? So that's another definition of good. Kawhi says, if people pay for your product, you are already good, just need to scale. Don't wait to become good, probe the market, and at least be consistent. Absolutely. So the other thing is, okay, there's another definition of good. Because I've been playing drums for over 30 years, which is quite a feat because I'm only 29.
That's so true.
So
true.
It's pretty amazing. But, there was to the point, like even when I was a little kid, I would play on stages, playing talent shows and all this kind of stuff, and people enjoyed watching and listening to me play. And so, I was already good at a young age, according to that definition. I've been paid. I've been paid. I've played live. I've, gone on tours and, I've played on stages all over the place and been paid for that. I've done recordings and been paid for those. I've all kinds of stuff. So yes, I also am good to the point where I can make money playing drums. But when I look at my abilities in drumming, I don't think I'm good yet. But that's just me being always wanting to be better. I'm just like, okay, I'll be good when I have this amount of dexterity, or I'll be good when I have this amount of, coordination or, independence of each of my limbs or whatever. And, at that point, then maybe I will accept that I'm good at this. But, that it kind of for me to define good as always just a little bit further along than where I am, it kind of keeps me pushing forward to always be getting better.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? So it's interesting. So there's a chance, Wolf, you might already be good at writing or singing. Maybe already. And now it's just a matter of shaping your craft. Because, it's such an interesting thing, because the rest of the world would look at me, and even I remember being a senior in high school. I just graduated and I was playing drums, and then I was playing guitar also, and I was playing piano, and I was doing all this stuff. And one of my friends was over, and I was kind of sharing some stuff with him about what I was writing, what I was composing, and playing some of this stuff. And he's like, "Man, you are such a good player." And I'm like, "Well, thank you. But I don't feel like I'm good yet. I feel like I have a lot of work to do to get to the point of being good." And at that point in my life, I was like, when I can make this so I can make money doing it, then I'll feel like I'm good. But then I got to that point, and then I was like, well, now that I've hit this point, I still don't feel like I'm good. So I need to continue getting better, and then what's that level? What's that level of success? You never know, right? There's another story I heard of a guitarist who he was in a band and he was on tour, and they were up and coming. They were doing pretty well. They were on their way to success and everything. And they were doing a nationwide tour in the United States. And they were from somewhere out east, and they were out on the West Coast in LA, and they fired him. The band fired this guitar player.
Mm.
and sent him back home in the middle of a tour. Like, they just
Wow.
fired him and sent him back, and he had to find his way back home and all this kind of stuff and everything, and he got fired. And so, like, in his mind, he's like, all right, well, that put a drive in him to be able to outclass this band that fired him, right? And so he wanted to do that. And that was his driving force. He was just like, you know what? They fired me. I'm so mad about that. I'm going to get to the point where I outpace them, where I'm better than them, whatever, blah, 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 blah. This guitarist's name was Dave Mustaine, and he is the guitarist and lead singer for Megadeth.
Ooh,
A very,
nice.
very, very successful metal band from the 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
Highly successful, like platinum, gold and platinum record sales, worldwide tours, all this kind of stuff. Like, he had this massive success, but he never, ever thought he was successful because the band that fired him was Metallica. And they were always just like, Metallica kind of has this position as like the premier metal band from like, that kind of started the whole metal movement back then, right?
I gotta be honest, I like Megadeth way more than Metallica. My
I do
personal
too.
opinion.
I do too.
I'm not gonna hate on anybody who likes Metallica, but I've never enjoyed much of their music.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I don't know if it's good, but
it's a
that's the
subjective
opposite.
thing, right? But in
It's
his
totally subjective.
Yep, but in his mind, he never achieved success because, and now they're kind of older and he's retired, but Metallica is still doing stuff apparently. Like, my oldest son is into Metallica now. And so he's playing me stuff and he's like, oh yeah, they just released this like a couple years ago or last year or whatever, blah, 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 And so I shared with him some Megadeth too. And he likes Megadeth as well. He's turning into this little metalhead, which is kind of fun.
It's fun.
Yeah. But anyway, I told him be careful, don't overdo it, because like if you listen to Megadeth a ton, it might make you depressed because some of their like, if you really internalize their lyrics, Dave Mustaine,
There's a lot of that everywhere.
Sings, yeah,
in every kind of genre.
It's kind of true. You're right. But
That's a good point.
It can affect you. So pay attention to what you're thinking and feeling as you listen to music, because it can have an impact on you. But anyway, so that, I don't know, that's just a little story. What is good? Who knows what is good? Good is how we define it. And maybe I will never, ever, in my mind, I may never, ever feel like I'm good at drumming, even though I've been playing for more than 30 years, even though I've had people watching me on stage, even though I've been paid, even though it's like a big part of my profession, I still feel like, and even though like, I remember doing some session work just a couple months ago, and Steve, our BSS president, he had written a song and he was like, okay, I'm coming over. I need you to record a drum part to this. And I'm like, okay. We went through it. I had never heard the song before. He played it like twice. I listened to it twice in my headphones, and then I played through it twice, and that was all that needed to be done. And he's like, I can't believe we got through that fast. Like, that was less than a half an hour and it was done. And I'm like, well, I guess that's what the amount of experience I have does, right? Like, I mean, I can just sit down, play it, be done. We don't have to go through a whole bunch of stuff, but even with that level, I'm still like, I don't feel like I'm that good yet. Like, I feel like I got to go farther. I feel like I got to do better. And maybe that's good to have that drive, but it can also, like in the wrong frame of mind, it can be debilitating as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It keeps you on point. It keeps you getting better. But it also, in the wrong frame of mind, it can make me really beat myself up. So
fair enough.
Those are things to think about. Wolfrix, I don't think I'm anything special, but someone said that I'm pretty good. So that is where this question came into play. In that sense of really taking in the lyrics, really taking in the lyrics in music, is it bad that I can relate to a reason for suffering and I'm sorry? I I think I can relate to those songs too. I can totally relate to those songs. And so Wolfricks, in the eyes of another person, you already are good. So then the question is, do you want to continue to get better? Because better is always out there. You can always be better. And there will always be someone that you can look at that you're like, man, I wish I had those qualities. I wish I could do what they do. And it can push you to get better. As long as we don't get trapped in that comparing ourselves to others too much. Because if we do that, that's this downward spiral and we can, get sucked into it, and it can be really, really hard, right? So I don't know. That's my rant, I guess, about this topic. So I'm gonna turn it back over to Ryan, and I'm gonna see what Ryan has to say. So Ryan, it
Yeah,
is
sure.
all
Um,
yours, my friend.
yeah, I'll give it my best. As a side tangent, in terms of relating to songs, it's totally great if you can relate to songs. That's awesome. You should be able to relate to them. Um, I think that the defining feature is the song keeping you down? Is it is it is it reminding you of where you are, but not helping you out of it? Or is it reminding you of where you are and also helping you out of it? Because those
Mm,
are two very different things, you know? There are plenty of songs that will be like, yeah, I totally feel this song. Like I get the feeling of it. Like I relate to it so much, but it just furthers the feeling and furthers the habit of feeling that feeling and furthers kind of more of a spiral of downward motion. And then there are cases where it's like you listen to something and you get it and you feel it and it's right, and you also feel uplifted by it, not just resonating with it, but uplifted.
mm.
And I think that that's great. You know, I personally think that a great poem is not one that just makes you feel how the author wants you to feel, but also provides substance with it. Something of substantial meaning, something of help, something of aid. Sometimes it's just aid to feel recognized, like, wow, there's another person that feels this. This is, that can be helpful and encouraging. But there are times when that's not encouraging and it just also helps you feel more of it and doesn't it just makes it worse. And you sit there in it and you sit there in the darkness and you wallow it and you absorb it and you're like, yeah. And then you take it in and it's horrible.
Hmm.
and uh and I think that a great poem has not all great poems, not all poems are about dark things, but great lyrics are great poems, great writings. My personal preference, it doesn't just have a problem or a bad feeling or even any kind of feeling at all. It also has resolution. It has something to give. If it has nothing to give, then I don't feel like it was very valuable for me. But that's my personal preference. Continuing on for more of the topic, I think um, another thing to consider. Joe was talking about, kind of having success in an industry and being good in it. And you were talking about your friends saying that you're good, and maybe you look at yourself and you say, well, how can I say that I'm good? Blah, blah, blah. Um, I was recently looking at my Spotify plays, um, and um, and I noticed like it's kind of interesting because I have a lot of Spotify plays, right?
Mm.
And there we looked it up, and there are like 1 million different Spotify artists. So not people subscribe to Spotify, but people who are counted as artists.
Mm.
And I was like, dang. And you look at that number, and the average number of plays for a particular person is like, I think I can't remember what it was. You can look it up online. I think it was like 70 or something, which makes sense. There's that many people. Um, and then,
Wait, the
eventually I
average
realized
is
it's like, okay,
70 streams per song
no,
or per
70 streams per artist
artist.
they
Okay.
get per month.
Okay.
70 streams. Artists generally get 70 streams per month or
That's the
50. I don't
that's
know.
the
It was somewhere like
average.
that. Yeah, that's the average,
Okay.
right? And so I looked at that and I'm like, now that I think about it, I am in the top 1% of performing artists in the world,
Mm-hmm.
which is a weird thing to say. And it's not like I'm trying to stroke my ego, but the whole reason I'm saying that is because it brought me to the thought of when I decided to do music for a living, it was because I knew I was good enough. I knew that even if not at the time I could, I knew that eventually I would make music that would be good enough to compete with the highest performing stuff.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely
Because
right.
and it wasn't a sense of overconfidence. I just looked at the reality and said, "Yeah, I can do that. I can do that." And I think the same thing is true with Joe, maybe not necessarily in the same extent, but like for drums, for example, he's really great at drums. And yeah, he strives to get better and better. But Joe can listen to something and go, "Yeah, I could do that."
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I can try it until I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you know you're at a position where you can go, "Yeah, if I try enough, I can do that." Or even if it's not like, I can't do that exactly, but I can put something out that's at least enjoyable. I can do a rendition of this song. Maybe I can't get as high as they get because I just can't. But I can do an alternative version of this song that people would probably enjoy. Enjoyment is a matter of opinion, but I know it's good enough to be enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you feel that way, if you feel that level of confidence, then you're in a position where, yeah, you're good. You're probably good, or you're delusional. And if you're delusional, you'll figure it out eventually based off of how people respond to you.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you could be good and people could say, "Oh, don't quit your day job," So people could treat you badly, even though you actually are good. So
They
I don't know
will
how
tell
to.
you to not quit your day job. I promise. The
Yeah, they
people
will
around
absolutely tell
you.
you that. Everybody will tell you that if
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be a singer or something.
Yeah, if you're gonna be a
Um,
musician of any kind, like that.
yeah.
That's what they're gonna do.
Oh yeah.
The people close
Yeah,
to you,
for
the
sure.
people that know you. That's yeah. You're gonna hear that.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. You gotta um say, sure, okay, and then just move on and don't care what they say. Because if you've got something to give to the world, that's what you got, right? That's the argument right there. It's like if you've got something to give to the world, then that's what you've got. Who cares what other people have to say if they think that you're good or bad, or don't let's say stupid lines like "don't quit your day job" and so on and so forth. If that's what you got to give to the world, then that's what you got. You got to give.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could go do something else, but you won't feel as fulfilled. You won't be living up to your potential. You will have sacrificed your potential for greatness so that you could be mundane and fit in with people that are going to
Mm.
criticize you anyways,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Amen,
So
brother.
don't do that. Right? Yeah. So don't do that. But anyhow, um, good at writing and singing. If your writing affects people emotionally, if your singing affects people emotionally, then that's it. I've heard some singers and I go, they might be off key from time to time, but man, are they a good singer because they can touch you. It's like they can reach into your soul and pull something out of it that it wasn't even there before. But they pull it out of your soul. You feel it. And so if you're good at singing, I would say, or sorry, if you can pull something out of someone, and you might not know that until someone else tells you, but if you can pull something out of someone, then you're probably good enough at singing. And yeah, we can always get better. We can always strive for better, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Myself entirely included. But um, whether we're better yet or not, um, doesn't isn't the determining factor of whether we're good. So I think we'll get better the more we do it,
Mm-hmm.
and we should do it, especially it's if it's of value. And reaching into people's hearts and pulling something out that's valuable is valuable. It's incredibly valuable. It's one of the most valuable things you can do. And writing and singing, both of those things have a knack for doing that. So I would suggest, if you think that you're capable of doing it and that you have a gift, it might not be like, oh, I have a gift that's way above everybody else. No, but if you have some semblance of a gift, if you have some semblance of ability, you know you have the ability to do something, then do something. You know, do it. Give it a shot. See where it leads you.
Mhm.
And I mean, you've already had someone tell you that you're good, so that it pulled something out of their heart, right?
Mhm.
So that's awesome. I would say you're good.
Mhm.
Now just continue that and be great. You know, strive for greatness. Strive for the best that you can do. And your best is not going to be the same as someone else's best. It's very objective. So, anyways, that's what I got.
Mhm.
Akil, what's up, man?
Yo. Passion is infectious. Yes, you are absolutely
Mm-hmm.
right. And we never know where life might take us. That's
Yeah,
very true.
yeah.
Um, yeah, you know, it's funny because you were talking, Wolfrix, you said up in the chat a little bit ago, you know, in sense of taking lyrics to music, is it bad that I can relate to a reason to suffering and I'm sorry? You know, it's funny is as I was playing with both of those songs, I was crying.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Don't
Sorry to
be
do that to you.
sorry. Don't
Yeah,
be sorry.
I'm sure it was a good cry.
But why do you think that's another reason why I don't want to stream while I play drums with that
Mm.
album because I, you know, like there's a lot of stuff in there
Dude,
that just emotionally brings stuff out, you know. And part of it is, you know, the stuff in the song, right?
yo,
And
that
the
stuff is dramatic and people love watching that. If you cry on stream.
while I'm
'Cause I
drumming,
know, it's just humiliating.
it's yeah, well, I mean, but the closest, hey, we all need some humility.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for
Mother
sure. We all
Teresa
do.
said the fastest route to humility is humiliation.
That's right.
So, yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. I don't think I have a whole lot else to say, um,
Mm.
for this topic, Wolfrix. I mean, honestly, for writing and singing, I believe that you can do it. If it's something,
Mm.
I mean, it depends on what you want to do. Like, if it's something you want to make a profession out of, you totally can. You totally can. There are people that have made a profession out of music that probably shouldn't have made a profession out of music, but they did anyway, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because it does take a different set of skills or a team of people that have those different sets of skills to help you
Mm-hmm.
along the way, right? That's why it's so beautiful what we have at BSS is because
Mm-hmm.
we have such a solid team in the business sense of, you know, like the business of music. We people that don't people that have music close to their heart, but they're not necessarily musicians. Like only really like three of us are on the production team out of the seven,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now the other
Right.
members have musical abilities, but it's not something they do on a day to
Mm-hmm.
day basis. We've got people doing finance, we've got people doing IT, we've got people doing, you know, the research into the business side of things. We probably are going to have to find somebody who has a legal mind to give us legal consultation at some point, maybe
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because
Quite
that,
soon, I think.
yep, because the bigger you get, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so funny. I was talking to Steve, our president, and I'm like, he's like, yeah. I'm like, you know, we're gonna grow and we're gonna get sued because that's what happens. A business gets
Mm-hmm.
big enough and you get sued. He's like, I can't wait
Yeah.
for that day. I can't wait for the day when we get sued. And I'm like, that
Mm-hmm.
just kind of shows his personality. He's a fighter, right? He
Mm-hmm.
just,
Yes.
which is why we put him in that position. But, you know, it's just like, but in that context, you know, it's like all these little things. If you're just a musician and you're trying to make it, and there's a big movement in the do-it-yourself musician arena,
Mm-hmm.
and rightfully so because you can.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of aspects to take into consideration, and so like it to have other people handling that stuff just greases the skids for you to be able to do your part that you want to focus on and do that part well. And so that's why,
For sure.
yep, that's what we do at BSS is we want to do that for lots of musicians. You know, we want to find more and more musicians that we can, you know, partner up with, and we can, you know, help grow and help become successful. Because a big thing in my mind is, like we talked about, you know, people are going to tell you, don't quit your day job. People are going to tell you, oh, you know, I don't know, whatever. And it was funny because Katz, I see you're still here. Katz was spouting some wisdom in the Static P server this morning. About you know, like high school should be a time of career exploration, and I agree with that. We should explore career paths, but so much of the culture in society and in the academic world just invalidates so many career choices. And yeah, yeah. Like I remember my high school guidance counselor, I went in and they're like, okay, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do for a living when you get older? I was like, I want to be a professional musician. And he laughed at me, like out loud, laughed at me. And like told me that that's not a real thing, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm just like, but those are those little moments, right? And so ever since being brought up to believe that, it makes me so upset that I want to make a difference in that area in this world, where I want to take somebody who was like me and be the company that I wish was there when I was in that position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it makes me really, really mad.
Yeah.
But
If
what
it
does
makes Joe mad, then
what doesn't
Joe's
make
gonna be
Joe
something
mad?
bad.
Joe gets mad about everything, right? So oh yeah. I see you commented on that, Wolfrix. Yep, the thing I posted in Discord about there, it was this great thing. My therapist actually shared that with me. It was awesome. It's in the sharing channel, I think. But yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Look who's laughing now because I'm a professional musician. Hey, you know, I may be, and that's great, but I'm not done because we got a lot more people to help along the path, and we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan talked about there's over 1 million artists on Spotify right now. Well, like
Yeah.
coming up in the next 30 days, we're going to add about 3 more.
Nice.
It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Nice.
It's going to be cool. So anyway,
All right.
So yeah, I don't know. You can do it.
Cool.
You totally can.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're inspired to do it, if that's a part of your passion, and something you feel like you want to pursue as a lifetime career, awesome. If it's not, then it's totally great just to be good. I know a lot of people that learned how to play piano just so they could play piano on their off time when they're just to be enjoy themselves, and they don't care to do it as a they put passion into it, but they don't care to do it as a career, which is great. It's fine. So you could be anywhere on that rung of ladders.
Mm-hmm.
But it's totally acceptable, and if you're good at something and it brings value even just to yourself, then it's probably worth putting some time into it and enjoying it, and don't get too fussy over whether you're good or not. Just what can you do to utilize it to give value to others? And that will be the nature of its goodness. And that will prove its goodness. Because you can do a lot of bad with a lot of good talent.
Mm-hmm. You sure
can do a lot of bad with a lot of good talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more important that you're doing good than it is that you're talented. Because, obvious reasons.
Yep.
So,
one, also don't forget that talent isn't the thing that gets you there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Talent is the precursor
Mm-hmm.
to the interest in doing a lot of it so you can turn that talent into a skill and then into a passion
Mm-hmm.
that then causes you to seek out the avenues to turn it into a profession, right? Like all these kind of things are interconnected. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Wolfrix. Yeah. Hey, whatever you land, that's totally great.
Mm,
Good luck on your auditions, and
auditions are
um,
fun.
I'll I'll be hoping that it pays off. That's awesome.
Break the
Yeah.
legs of others.
Yeah, break your legs. No,
Break a
break other
leg.
people's legs.
Break both your legs and break
Yeah,
everybody
break a
else's
leg, just
legs.
not your own. Yeah. When they say break a leg, they don't mean yours. They just mean get out there and break someone's leg.
Right, yeah. So I need to be
Yeah, no,
wait,
that's
so I need to
horrible.
be like the Godfather.
Yeah.
I'll break your knees.
Oh, freaking knees.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Wolfrix.
Mhm.
We spent some time on that. I think that we've fleshed it out to the fullest, at least that I'm capable of.
Mhm.
Um, and
I'm glad it was
I think it's
helpful.
about time we move on to the next one. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
really glad that it was helpful.
Do we still have Alfonso here?
Yeah, yeah. Alfonso, if you're still here, please just say something in the chat for us so that we can uh, dutifully get to your topic.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to do my best to um, restate your topic. Hopefully they didn't leave. Oh yeah, they're here. Perfect.
Hey,
Awesome.
sweet.
Welcome, welcome.
All right, all
Glad
right.
you're still here. Okay. So thank you for your patience, Alfonso. Thanks for sticking around. You're
Where was
awesome.
this? Where was this topic? It's up here. I'm gonna.
So it was only in chat.
Yeah. I just want to put it. So
Um,
I'm not gonna put the topic screen up there, but I do want to put it at least in the topic little box up there. You know what I
mhm.
mean? The burnout and
Yeah.
pressure of job hunting. All right.
Mhm. You found it. I like to talk about the burnout and pressure of job hunting. Is it bad not knowing what job you want to do? And they had a little bit more to follow up if I can find it, but that's a good enough start. Um, Alfonso, I'm just gonna say those two. If you want to add anything to that, if you have any, oh yeah, this is it. Okay, I'm fresh. I'm a fresh grad. Jeez, I'm a fresh graduate, but I don't know what job I want to do. Perfect. So you're a fresh graduate.
Graduate of high school or college or
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question. College graduate or grade school,
where do
whatever
you
they call
see
that.
that? Oh, I'm not live anymore.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Okay. I don't see the
Are we
thing
back?
about being a fresh graduate. No,
Oh.
I'm live. I'm just on the YouTube. Like my
Oh.
chat wasn't.
Oh. Chat was okay, got it.
No, we're still live.
Okay, cool. College. Awesome. And if you don't mind me asking, what did you go to college for?
Mm,
What kind of things did you study while you're there? They don't it might not help for your picking a career, but I'm just curious. Um, and then also, this is maybe some questions you can ask yourself. Why did, obviously you should know these answers. Why did you take the classes you took? Oh, you have a bachelor's degree.
okay.
Nice. Well, that's a good start. Okay, so fresh grad.
Was there a focus in your study? Psychology. All right.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Alfonso.
Well, you could tell
You
us
don't know what you want to do.
how to do what we do better.
Yeah, there you go.
You can take over. Don't worry, Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How would you like to get paid? For Don't Worry Wednesday, we make together, we split a total of 0, and you
Yes.
can share in that split pretty evenly. We're pretty fair.
Mm-hmm.
You can
We'll split
have
that 0 3 ways instead of 2. That'd be good.
yeah. We'll do 33.33 Repetan split.
We will
You
do
can
the
have
right
that much
thing
percent.
and have 0
Mhm.
3 ways.
Yeah. They say you can divide by 0, but you're dividing 0 by 3, so it's fine. If no one was doing this show, then they'd have to split 0 divided by 0, which would be 1, by the way. according to math rules, but because you're dividing by 0, now it also has to be 0. So it's both 1 and 0, and it's also negative infinity and positive infinity. And
So it's
so there you
everything,
go.
everywhere, all at once.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. 0 is not actually impossible to divide using. You can divide by 0. The reason your calculator gives you error is because it gives you so many different possible answers. Because it doesn't have syntax. It doesn't have context, I mean. It requires context.
It doesn't have a syntax? Well, that's better than
It has
Michigan.
syntax, right? It
Michigan's
doesn't have
got all kinds of
context.
syntaxes.
Sinful taxes?
Taxes on
Okay,
things they
anyways.
determined sinful, like things
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
they,
yeah.
like alcohol, tobacco,
hmm
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, suicide.
I don't think that's taxed.
Oh, well,
You can get in
they don't
trouble
tax
for
the
it. You
dead
can get it.
people?
You can get a ticket for it.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Hmm.
You get a ticket for it.
Yep.
So I figured
I
it's
got
kind
a
of like a
ticket.
tax.
My first car accident I ever got into, I got a ticket, right?
hmm
And they wrote on the ticket, it was an accident that caused injury. I caused injury to myself only.
Oh,
And the
you
ticket
already
was,
reaped your your reward. It's like I was already punished. Now you're punishing me
yep,
more. I hate when that
I got a
happens.
ticket.
Yeah. Oh, first thing that came to your mind was being a substitute teacher, says Akil. Just to get direct human interactions. Ah, interesting. Yeah, that's smart. To be honest, I had a great start in a horrible college life. Okay, Alfonso.
Hmm.
Yeah, so let's get on to the topic. I
Yes.
think I'm gonna just talk a little bit before I give it over to Joe. Um, there's a lot that we can talk here about. I think part of it goes into what we just talked about in the last topic. If you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, because that's where you are right now. You're sitting in a position where you're like, I don't know what my job should be.
Mm.
And in other words, I don't know what I should be spending my time and efforts on. Not only to make money, but to participate in society and move things forward for the human race and blah, blah, blah. So, a good thing to do is to get that notion into your head and thought about. So, what's the point of getting a job, right? That's a lot of times where you should start is why? Why? Sometimes you're like, well, I should get a job because that's what everyone told me to do, right? Well,
Hmm.
it's not a very good answer.
Hmm.
I mean, because they could be wrong. Everyone could be wrong, you know. What's the real reason you should get a job? And so obviously, one, there's benefits to having a job, such as money, being able to pay for your house, being able to pay for food, being able to go out and enjoy, a movie or whatever it is, right? So there's
Hmm.
bonuses to having money. Secondly, as I said before, a job is providing something for others, right? You could technically make it your job to not make any money at all, go sell everything you own, and go live on the streets, providing to the poor, whatever you can do to do that.
Hmm.
It's a job, and it doesn't pay you. But I tell you what, it's one of the most meaningful things anyone ever did. It was Mother Teresa who did that. She already
Hmm.
came up in the stream earlier, but
Hmm.
she literally sold everything she owned and donated all of that money and then went out to India and lived with India and the poor and got ridiculed by the poor and who said, I don't need your stinking charity, blah, 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 blah. But along the way made friends, along the way made the huge difference
Hmm.
and is one of the noted as one of the key people that made the biggest impact on the world
Oh yeah,
to date.
but she still gets criticized
And
up and down. It's crazy.
she still gets criticized. Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And I think that's fine. It's par for the course.
Yep.
But my point is, that was her career. It had nothing to do with money. So it's okay if you don't make a lot of money because there's more to life than just surviving.
Hmm.
Money helps you survive.
Hmm.
Money can help you feel secure. But we weren't put here on this earth to just be secure. We were also put here to be insecure. No, we were put here to embrace the insecurities of life and do something with them. Really? That happened? Yeah, absolutely.
Are you talking about
And
the Mother
so,
Teresa thing?
yeah, you talking about, yeah, or you could be talking about Baka. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Either way.
Could be talking about anything. Um, yeah, I think that there are never mind, it couldn't have been about Baka because it wouldn't fit. But what Baka just said is there are a lot of jobs in this world, from any company requiring someone in HR, human resources, um, or PR,
Hmm.
or anything. Professions need professional psychologists because they're dealing with real human beings. And to have a little bit of psychology in your company can really help the company. And
Yeah.
so I think there's a lot of jobs that would be willing to hire a psychologist. Even if you don't even put in the forefront, like, hey, I'm a psychologist, you could say, I'm a PR, I'm a HR, I'm a whatever. I'm a representative of something, and you can come to me if you're having struggles. You can be a therapist that's exclusively for a company. They do have those. But you could also be a therapist, just a regular one.
Hmm.
Therapists, we talk about them frequently on this channel. We honor them. They're awesome.
Hmm.
Not every one of them is great, but some of them are really great. And I think the ones generally that aren't so great are just after the money and not after the value they provide.
Yep.
And I think
It's the same with
if you
doctors.
are, yeah, same with doctors, same with anybody in any
Hmm.
field. I mean, even
Yeah.
especially in music.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I think a lot of musicians just want that fame, that money, that lifestyle,
Hmm. I want
and
to party
they're
like a
willing to
rock
say
star,
whatever.
man. I want golden
Yeah.
teeth, and I want this and that, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And what do they provide to the world? It's like, wow, there's a lot of entertainment.
Hmm.
Great. Entertainment's good. Um, how about the fact that the entertainment you've provided has caused people to be self-destructive, hate themselves, and, think that certain values are above others, like, sex, drugs, etc., money, are more valuable than other things, like, I don't know, your mental health and being good in the world and being kind and being charitable. Like, when's the last time you heard a song about charity? Like actually doing something nice for someone. So I think that there's a lot of problems there. And so in the world, you're looking for a job and you don't know what you want to do. I think a good starting place is, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in this world? What do you want to provide to this world? And I don't mean who do you want to, like, a lot of times it's like, when you're in elementary school or something, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Hmm.
You know, and what they mean is, what kind of job do you want to do?
Exactly.
But that's not who you are,
It's a
right? What kind of
garbage
job you
question.
are. Yeah, it's a garbage question. I meant it more in the sense of, who do you really want to be in this world to others?
Hmm. That's a much
I mean,
better
you could
question.
say it. Yeah. You could say, like, oh, I want to be a garbage man to others. Like, well, that's not living to your fullest extent. That's a job that you occupy. But the job can be a part of who you are. The job can fulfill something in the world that can be good. So my question to you, is there anything that you're passionate about? Anything that drives you? Anything that maybe even makes you angry that exists in the world that you wish you could fight? Or maybe something that, you know, inspires you, just like, wow, whenever I see this, I'm just encapsulated in its beauty. I wish I could provide that for other people. I want to be able to provide that sense of beauty, whether it's just seeing a smile on someone's face, or something as different as maybe a painting, or um, just a pretty home, a house that's well designed and clean, maybe even just a clean home, because a clean and healthy environment helps create a clean and healthy mind. And you recognize that truth. And so you are willing to go into other people's homes and clean their homes. You know, there's all sorts of different answers for this. But I want to start you off on that track to give you some self meditation, to give you something to sort of think about while you're trying to solve this question, because we definitely can't answer the question for you. And I've already talked for way longer than I meant to. But anyways, I'm gonna go over to Joe,
Oh,
and
you're gonna
Joe's
let
gonna
me
give
know.
you some advice. Joe has had so many jobs, but has also been the sole inspirer of the job I have now, which is to, not the sole inspirer, I should say, one of the key inspires to the job I have now, which is producing music and trying to do my best to lift up other people in their hearts and move the culture forward. Because that's what, I don't know, Joe inspired in me. And I think that's awesome. So you never know when that might happen to you. So anyways, I'm going to give it over to Joe. And I think that's the best thing I can do.
Man, thank you, Ryan. You're making my heart all soft. Like I was getting all charged up for this topic, and now you're like,
You can be like a hard-boiled egg. It's still soft on the inside.
I could be a hard-boiled egg. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a soft-boiled egg. Ooey gooey, runny yolk on the inside, right? That's the best kind.
You're right. The hard part isn't the egg white. You could be like, you know what? The analogy's over. I'm done. I quit. You go.
All right. Okay, Alfonso. I'm going to start off by saying you're awesome. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to apologize in advance. And I'm going to apologize in advance to everybody on this stream, because this could get weird. But it's part of my purpose, right? And Ryan, I appreciate you mentioning that. That's part of my purpose is I disrupted his life.
Yeah, in a good way.
Mm-hmm. I created a disruption in his life because he was on a path to a life that he wasn't really all that excited about. And I helped him see another path.
Mm-hmm,
and
absolutely.
He drank deeply of it, and he took it by the reins, and he ran after it, and he succeeded to the level that he has now, and he will succeed even further before this is all said and done, because he's continuing to work, and he's continuing to push, and he's continuing to come up with ideas, and he's continuing to move himself forward in his life and in his career as a musician. Here's the thing, Alfonso, you said this, the pressure you're having is in job hunting, and you graduated college and you don't know what you want to do yet, right? You're not sure. Maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's okay. You said it's okay not having the answers I want. It is my way to find myself in purpose. Yep, you're right. Here's the thing. You've been sold a lie. I apologize. If
your world's about to break.
If you were told anything that I was told when I was in school, sorry, I gotta fix this. Sorry. There's like a thing on my screen. It was like bugging me. We're told, okay, you got to know what you want to do, and then you got to go to college, and then you got to go get the degree, and then you got to know what you're going to do after that, and then you're going to get that job, and you're going to have that same job for your whole working career, and then that's what's going to retire. You're going to retire out of that job, and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? Lie. Lie, 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 lie. That does not happen for most people. It may have been the case 40 years ago.
I'd say even longer ago.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes Kendra says, oh, I figured that out after the second year in college. Oh, you figured out that you were lied to? or you figured out what you wanted to do. Because that could be too. What we want to do with our lives doesn't necessarily come to us all at the same time. I knew I wanted to be a musician since I was in second grade. And I had my whole upbringing, they were trying to beat that out of me and sell me this lie. And it makes me angry because they're still telling the same stuff. And so the thought process in your question is okay, I'm done with college, so now I have to find this job. And you probably have a whole bunch of people that are looking at you, parents, authority figures, whoever, in-laws, maybe you're not married yet. In my personal case,
future in-laws.
I had all these kind of people looking at me like that I should have this kind of career job. And I knew what I wanted to do for a living and I was pushing toward it. And like the jobs that I got were just simple stepping stones to the life that I wanted. Right? And so as you're figuring this stuff out, it's okay to have whatever job that's going to make some money and give you something to do and whatever. And who knows, like try some different stuff out. You with a bachelor's degree have a lot more options than I did because I didn't get a bachelor's degree. I didn't get an associate's degree. I went to college for 8 years and I never got a degree. Success story, right? But they told me I needed to go to college and I could never figure out what it was I wanted to major in because I always wanted to do music and they always told me it was bull. And like, so I never was fitting in with any of that stuff. And so like, I was in college and luckily my mom was full-time faculty at a community college. So I could go there for free tuition and just like try and figure out what the heck I was going to do with my life. But it's okay to not know yet. It's okay. You don't have to know yet. But with a bachelor's degree, Alfonso, you have more options available for higher paying jobs to work while you figure it out. See, in my mind, a job is not the end of your career. It's not. In my mind, a job is a stepping stone, something to get you by and feed you while you work toward your career, toward your lifestyle that you want, right? It's not the end all be all of your life. But if I had had a bachelor's degree when I was looking for a job, I would have had a lot of more doors open to me, and they did not care what the degree was in. They were just like, you just need to have a 4-year degree to come work here. And I could have had a 4-year degree in art, and I could have, been like some kind of high manager type person at this job and gotten paid a lot more money than I did because I didn't have a degree. I'm sorry, Alfonso. I apologized in the beginning. I'm going to apologize again.
What you said is absolutely should be pushed more, though. Your job is not your life career, and feel free to just go out there and get a job. It doesn't even matter what it is. Just get one, and you'll find out if you like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get some experience.
Mm-hmm.
A job isn't like, oh, I get one job and then I'm done and that's what I have for the rest of my life. It's not like one of those situations where it's like that big of a deal where if you choose something wrong, you're stuck with it forever. A job, people come and go out of jobs, not even willingly. They get fired all the time, or laid off or whatever. Not fired, but laid off. Some people like, oh, I wish I could live this job forever, but I know it's temporary. That happens to like lots of people. So my point is, don't look at a job as one of those things where it's like, oh, I better be really careful because this life decision is going to make everything up for the rest of my life. It's not. That is the absolute, it's a lie.
Big lie. I've
had so many jobs and Joe's had so many more.
And yes, I'm going to call out the high school guidance counselors. Stop lying to the students.
Yeah.
Figure out how the real world works and stop lying to them. You're training them to be in a life that doesn't exist. Stop it. Okay, that part of my rant's over. Here's the deal, Alfonso. I love you. You're awesome, and it's okay. Your position is okay to be in. It's fine. Like, you're totally all right. So you can look around and you can look at when I was looking for lots of jobs, it was Indeed.com was like the big one, the big job posting website or whatever. There's probably more now. I know Monster was a big one for a while. You can just look around and find something maybe that strikes your fancy, something you could try to do. And it doesn't matter if it's in the field you're wanting to do. It doesn't matter if it's in psychology or not. It doesn't matter. Like, if that's something you want to shoot for, you can try and find something in that field. But my point is, with a bachelor's degree, you've got a lot more open doors for you, and you will make more money while you figure it out. And that's okay. That's good. You'll be able to support yourself at a higher level. And so that's great. You're in a really, really good spot. And I know the world is going to tell you, a bunch of authoritative sounding people, whether it's guidance people or parents, or maybe your parents are wonderful. And I don't mean to trounce on parents, but, like society as a whole is going to make you think, well, you got this degree in psychology. Where's your career job?
How dare you work at a fast food?
Yeah. How dare you be a server? How dare you deliver pizzas? How dare you do whatever? None of that matters. I remember, I got trained as a band instrument repair technician. I did an apprenticeship. Like, I was in college for a long time, and then I decided, I got a job at a music store, and then I got into repair, and it was cool, and it was a career choice. But it was a very limited career choice, because there aren't that many people that do that. And, like the company I worked for had kind of a monopoly on that profession in the area. And when I left that job, everybody's yelling at me and trying to say, well, why can't you just get a job doing what you were trained to do? And I'm like, because you guys had me burn that bridge. I'm not bitter or anything. But anyway, so it doesn't matter. So all that stuff that people are telling you, and that mentality of like, I got to have a job that, like I got this degree and now I don't know what to do. And it's okay. It's okay. You're fine. Because you can still figure it out. You've got time. Okay? But as far as the job is concerned, you don't need to worry about whether or not it's a job that uses the degree. Don't listen to any people who tell you that it needs to be. Whatever. Like, you go get a job at a bank. You can go get a job at a cell phone retailer. You can go get a job at a mall somewhere. You can go get a job doing something else. And with a degree, a lot of times, if you have a degree, they will open up the door to bigger income levels for you. Whatever that job is. And that's okay. And that's good. And while you're working that job, you can figure it out. Before the industrial age brought in this whole, mentality that I'm ranting about right now that's gone.
Absolutely.
That was industrial age thinking, where you would go and you'd get a job and you'd work it for 35 years and then you'd retire and get plastic shoes, pull up your pants to your armpits and golf in Florida. Right? Like that's the career path, right? And like, that's what was sold to us, and it doesn't exist anymore. Before that age, a job was seen as like indentured servitude. And if you were at a job for very long without starting your own company, without starting your own business, without starting your own enterprise on how you were going to make money, then you were looked down upon. If you had a job for like your whole life. So there was time. People have been looking down on other people like throughout world history, I guess. Depending on whatever the culture's telling you. But you're in a great spot, Alfonso. And what I'm telling you is that it does not matter what job you get right now. It does not matter at all. As long as it's something that can bring in some income and give you something to do. Because when we're working at stuff, it kind of awakens stuff in our minds. Like when I was working my job as an instrument repair technician, there were things I really enjoyed about it, but also it was a stepping stone to doing what I really wanted to do, which was create music. I was working in a musical environment. I was meeting people. And then I got involved in a couple different business enterprises. And I was like, okay, this is teaching me about business. This is teaching me about, like people skills and connecting and teaching me, public speaking. And, I was learning a bunch of stuff. And so you can use whatever profession, whatever job you're in as a stepping stone, as a tool, as a launch pad even, to to launch you into the future that you haven't determined yet. But if we're just sitting there stressed about the job hunt because we haven't found the perfect job according to whoever's telling us it needs to fit these criteria, then we're going to be stressed and we're not going to be able to open our minds enough to see the possibilities of where we could go. Does that make sense? Am I
Absolutely.
Did we just lose everybody? Like, I'm sorry.
No, I think
This
everybody's
kind of stuff makes me
listening to you
mad.
with great. Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys in the chat have been posting some pretty good stuff that are right along the lines of Joe's statements and rants, which are well needed and good. So yeah, speechless. Yeah, don't feel, Alfonso, don't feel panicked.
Mhm.
Don't let the world panic you. Recognize like there's a lot of jobs out there, and there's a lot of people willing to have you work for them. Don't feel panicked that you got to pick, and it's really really important what you pick, and it's really urgent. It's not really urgent, and it's also not really important,
Mhm.
because just as Kendra said, a lot of times, and as Joe said as well, a lot of times you have to experience more of the world before you figure out what it is like
Absolutely.
that you really want to do.
Yeah.
And
It'll
so if
help
you're
to
in a
define you.
position,
It'll help to guide you along that path to have a couple different kinds of jobs that you can see what you like and don't
absolutely.
like and all this kind of stuff. And it can really help you define what you want.
Absolutely. I learned, I worked at a fast food for several years. I can't remember how many, 3 or 4 or something. And in that experience, I learned I'm very different than other people when it comes to jobs, because I actually like the monotonous grind of doing something very tedious and boring, the same old, same old, same old, same old every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate when it's not that, which is weird because most people are like, oh, I hate when the day's the same because I want to experience something new every day,
Mm-hmm.
For me, I like just doing something really boring and just straight and easy, because it lets me think. It lets me like work in my brain. It lets me think about stuff or communicate or create new songs or whatever. And I learned that interesting but valuable um valuable um I don't know, there's a word, it's gone from my brain. Starts with an I, has an N in it, maybe an S and a T. But anyways, um, a valuable, um, I guess, lesson about who I am and sort of how my own brain works. We're put into this world, and I've said it many times on stream before. We're put into this world, and we don't just know who we are. We don't just know everything about ourselves. It's like really strange, because it's like you end up in the world, here you are, and you have to learn everything about yourself. But it's like you have to discover who you are. You don't just like, oh, you state my name and state everything I like and everything I dislike and everything that, I plan to do in the world. We don't know that. We come in here like almost a blank slate, and we're put here and we discover who we are along the way. It's in there. Some of it's not. Some of it's implanted into us because of society or just because of our experiences or whatever. But along the way, we become something and we discover something. And so it's important to go out there and not fear the experience. So
Mm-hmm.
don't be in a panic. Don't be like, man, I got to really stress about this. No, just pick something. Whatever opportunity opens itself up, be like, sure, I'll give that a shot. And you know what that'll do? That'll make your brain open to opportunity that will lead you to success. Because a lot of times the reason we are not successful is because our brains cannot see the opportunities that lead to it. And we're so scared to do anything that we do nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that fear of trying something and failing prevents us from even trying. And so what I would suggest to you is don't be afraid and don't let society say like, oh, that job isn't right for you because you should be paid more because you have a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Say that doesn't matter. That's not, what does that have to do with anything? I need to make some money right now. I'm willing, and I'll get there when I get there. I'm still on the path to discovery. I'm still trying to discover who I am and what I like. I don't even know everything I like yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a position that's a beautiful place to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, everything Joe was saying, absolutely correct. And so just take it easy, but take it with a hope, like a sense of optimism and playfulness and joy, being like, here we go. Here I am, fresh. I've got a fresh start here. I'm willing to just try things, even fast food, even this like a clerk at a store where I sell clothes. I don't even know much about clothes, but I'm willing to learn. And guess what? When you take on those opportunities and you decide you want to delight in them, if you decide that you want to delight in the objective which your job has, for example, let's say you get into selling clothes, you can learn to delight in fashion, to delight in the intricacies that are put into clothes to make them functioning and beautiful, or whatever it is, right? And you can learn like what looks good on people and why does it look good on some people and not others, and you can learn that field. And you can help people in that field, and they'll be so grateful that you showed up to work that day. And you can decide to live life that way. You can also decide the other, right? Where you just hate everything and it doesn't live up to, your ability to perform because it's beneath you, or you let people's opinions decide for you whether you're going to like it or not. I would say just don't listen to anybody's opinion if it's going to be negative,
Mm-hmm.
because why would you want to feel that way? You have total capacity to enjoy something. Let it be enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And so go out there and enjoy things and learn. And along the way, something is probably going to hit you in a way that drives you down a path that will be really important to you. And someday you'll find that.
Mm-hmm.
It might even be just as simple as, oh, I had a child.
Mm.
It could be anything.
That's a real educator right there.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. But anyways, yeah. Sorry to I hope I didn't interrupt.
No, you took it just at the perfect time. I was flying off the handle. You needed to rein it back in.
Okay.
So
No,
keep
man,
going.
you're great.
If you got more, keep going.
No, I've said what I've needed to say. I'm done actually. I don't have
Okay.
anything more to add.
Right on. I just want to add, there's some great stuff coming through the chat.
Yeah.
You've got some great, uh, um, recommendations. You got some great ideas. Childcare, construction, bowling alley, retail. To throw out another idea, psychology would probably work well being in HR and human resources.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like pretty much any job. Like you picked a great
Hmm.
education. You picked a great degree
Absolutely.
because psychology is everywhere. Because
Because we're
anywhere
all
you
humans.
work, there's going to be people. There's going to be people involved, and you have a laboratory of people learning all around you. So if you got into psychology because it interested you, and because it was something that you resonated with, and you were like, okay, I want to see how people think. I want to see how their minds work. Anywhere you go to get a job, there's going to be people, and you can just turn on your little analytical brain. I
Hmm.
shouldn't say little. Turn on your big analytical brain, because your big brain, and you can study them without their knowledge
Oh yeah, for sure.
and without their permission.
Hmm.
Like
That's great.
like you can just see how people operate, right? It's kind of fun. I used to do that at some of the jobs I had, like I'd just be like, you know what? I'm going to say this really weird thing and see how it goes over just to see
Oh
what people
yeah, I love
respond
doing
like,
that.
right?
Hmm.
and you
I
get all
love doing
kinds
that.
of weird responses, right? Like it can be really fun if you approach it with that. So like what Ryan is saying is absolutely true. What people in the chat are saying is absolutely true. You have lots of opportunities. You have lots of doors. But I want to get out of your head that you need to find the job right now that you're going to have for the rest of your life that fits your degree, that fits your thing, or else your college was a waste. It's not a waste. But society will make you think that. You got a psychology degree. Oh, you got a psychology degree and you're not a psychologist? Well, I was a wasted 4-year degree. Well, I can't. Oh, why didn't you get something in that? Or, whatever, right? Who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares? But people are
Well,
going
good
to look at
information
you
is
and they're
good
going to tell.
information.
Exactly. Exactly. And you have a level of understanding that's beyond a lot of people
Hmm.
because of your education. And that's great. And you can continue on that path of that stuff that interests you. Oh, you say you can't recall why you picked psychology in the first place. Um, okay. You're in the chat. Well, I have the capacity, but sometimes there are more people drag my morale down. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I can't recall why I picked psychology in the first place. Maybe to understand myself. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But either way, it's okay to be where you're at. It's okay to not know what you want to do. And
Hmm.
don't listen to people like it's hard to not, right? But I want to help build up in your mind because you will probably hear from people who have influence with you that you need to find a certain job in a certain area that pays a certain amount of money or else you're a failure. I heard that. I heard that most of my adult life because I had all kinds of jobs trying to make ends meet, trying to make money. Everybody telling me I was wasting my time. Oh, you waste your time being a musician. Oh, I can't believe you're wasting your time making this album. Me and Ryan made an album together. Took us like 9 months. It was
Hmm.
the first project he and I worked on together, and our first royalty check came in. That shut some people up when our first royalty check came in. I remember we were at the convention where it went on sale, and people that I respected, people that were leaders, were like dogging us for doing this project. They're like, "Why are you doing that project? Why don't you do like the things you're supposed to be doing? Why are you doing blah 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 blah?" And they're giving me all this garbage, right? And then one of them, I told him, I was like, "You know what?" I sat down. I'm like, "See all the people at this convention that we're at, where this thing got released, this album got released. You realize that we get like." I can't remember what the amount was. It was probably only like 8 cents or something per. Or
Yes.
no, no,
Yeah, I think
no.
that's about right.
That was the percentage. I was like, you realize we get like almost $1 for every single one of those that gets sold, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there were like 25,000 people there. And they were like, oh, okay. That's exactly what people said to me. They said, you have a degree in psychology, but you don't act like one. Yeah, I would swear right now, but I'm not going to because we're trying to keep things
Good job,
family
Sean.
friendly. But screw those
Thank you.
people.
Yeah.
I had another word floating around in my head. You can figure out what it is. But, dude, forget that.
Yeah, people are
Forget
gonna
that.
be jerks to you. Who cares? Like then what value is their critique?
Because you know what that tells me about those people? They just don't get it. They don't understand. They think that the world is different than what it actually is. And they're probably not willing to dig into difficult things in life. I look around, most people aren't. Most people want to distract themselves. They're not willing to think deeper. They're not willing to go deeper into life, into living. They're not willing to really grow up. They say that growing up is getting that job and having the career and being able to support yourself and have a family, have a white picket fence and 1.5 children and 2.5 dogs and, you know, a 2-story beige house with orange shutters and a 2-car garage and a blah, 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 blah. And your lawn better be doggone maintained and it better be such and such inches high. And they have all these criteria and they think that's what being a grown-up is. But no, they're not willing to be a grown-up because they can't think any deeper than what's right in front of their face. Man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even if those people are your relatives,
it's true.
Especially if those people are your relatives.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially
because you're going to hear it the most from them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the most frequent offender. Now, here's the thing: we love them and we continue to love them, and it's okay if they don't believe in us. But it tends to be the case that the people that are closest to us are the people that believe in us the least.
Mm-hmm.
And they also feel like they should be controlling us the most.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
And we don't really think you're your own person. The best parent in the world is a parent who assists their child in becoming the best version of themselves, not one who decides what that best is, but one that helps the other one discover what the best is. And I think it's not common to find a parent who was like, yeah, you know what, I want to know what makes you tick, and I want you to do that thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I want to help you do that. I want to prepare you for that. I want to give you the training necessary to get far in that. A lot of times we don't see that, and a lot of times we don't know what we want. But the point is, people that are close to us, they don't think so highly of us as the third party people, the people that don't really know us that well. And so when, you know, usually you expect from them the most to be the offenders on giving you this kind of bad rap of, yeah, you're supposed to be this and do that and etc. So,
well, and it's unsolicited advice. You didn't ask for their advice. It's unsolicited. So I'd be like, hey, I'll give you some unsolicited advice. Shut your mouth.
Okay, I wouldn't do that to your relatives, by the way.
Just kidding. In my brain, that's...
Yeah, you can do that in your brain, but definitely don't do that out loud. Just a little bit of psychology for you. That's not going to go well. But
sorry,
yeah,
Ryan.
I think... Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I think, here's the thing. Have pity on them. And pity in the way of, like, you understand that they're your relative, and so of course they're going to act this way. All relatives do. They do. All of them do. My mom told me to go to college, and then when I said, hey, I'm quitting college because I want to pursue music, because I can have a bigger effect on people, she said, no, that's out of the question. If you do that, then you're moving out on your own and you're leaving my house. And so I said, okay, then I guess I'm leaving your house. And she said, okay, I'm going to help you. And she helped me, and she helped me move in with my brother, and she helped me move on, right? Because she was an evil parent, but she wanted it her way. And when I put my foot down, she accepted that she couldn't control my life, even though she wanted to. And then about 2 years later, and ever since, she's been so proud of me because I decided to do something that had a bigger impact and was something that was charged with holiness and God and so on and so forth. Something that was worth doing. Rather than being the white picket fence. Rather than choosing the white picket fence, I picked something worth doing. And she's so proud of me for that, right? And she celebrates that. Now, not all parents will. But my point is, just because your parents are, or your relatives, your brothers, sisters, whatever it is, uncles, aunts, of course they're going to be offenders. But just because they're offenders doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means that they're normal. That's very normal. That's almost every relative, anybody that you know, grow up with, your friends, etc., are going to be offenders in this realm. They're all going to want to, they all think they know what you're capable of. They all think they know what you should do with your life. They all think they know the way, the road for you. But they don't. So, and that's okay. Just let it go. My point is, if your parents or your relatives, whatever, are being offenders in this area, just let it go. Of course they would be. Your reply to that in your brain should be, well, of course they're going to say these things.
You're far nicer than
That's
me.
the normal thing. I mean, I don't know if you're religious at all, but Jesus had the hardest time. In fact, he was 100% unsuccessful in his own village. Outside, people flocked to him everywhere. People were looking for him, just wanting to see who he was and meet this spectacular guy. But in his own village, he had no impact. Everyone just rejected him. Everyone's like, nah, man, I knew that kid when he was growing up. No, he can't be the Messiah. Blah, 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 right? And so my point of that is you should 100% expect your relatives to treat you that way. And it's okay. Just move on. Just act with a set of tolerance and compassion and recognizing that, okay, that's normal for them. I don't have to listen to that. I don't have to oblige. It's normal for them to do that. I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to do what I think I should do. And at this point, you don't even know what you should do. So what you should do is get out there and get experience and don't let people push you down. Or try to, I don't know, like, what's the word? Shame you. There's no shame in anything that you're doing.
Right.
Are you kidding me? There's no shame in picking up a job that has nothing to do with. There's no shame in that. It's a good thing. If someone tries to shame you, just be like, what unholy deed did I do? None. You can't shame me for this. This is fine. I need this experience. I need to learn things. I need to discover. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So don't feel shamed. Ever.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed at whatever job you get. Because it's a stepping stone. It's a launch pad. And you can describe it that way. I remember having to have that conversation with so many people. I remember my in-law, my mother-in-law, I think. And she pointed out something because I had been unemployed for a little while. I had, and I was looking and looking and looking and looking, and I was looking for a job that paid above a certain amount of money. And then our savings dwindled and everything kind of dwindled. And I'm like, I just need to have any money at all. I need something that provides an income. I don't care what it is. I don't care how much it is. We just need something. Right? And I remember when I got a job, I got hired at like West Marine. It's a boating supply store, and I was doing retail. And I remember her saying, what do you think that? I mean, that's not going to pay all that much. Like, what kind of income do you think you're going to get? Or I was applying at all kinds of different retail places, just because I needed something. I needed some kind of a job. And I was like, it doesn't matter. She asked, what kind of, that's not going to make the money you want. And I'm like, you're right, it's not. But we're at the point now where we just need some income. We need some income, and I need a launch pad. Because it's a lot easier to get a job, to get a better job, when you already have a job. It's easier to get another job when you already have a job. When you have no job whatsoever, that's the hardest time it is to get a job. So you kind of almost have to just take whatever you can get to start with, and then that can launch you. Once you're there, then you have something to do. You have something to keep your mind busy. You have more confidence, and it looks better to a prospective employer to already be working, right? So all these things work in your favor if you have any kind of job whatsoever, even if you're like working at a gas station or working in fast food or a grocery clerk or whatever. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's a launch pad. It's an absolute launch pad, and you can launch yourself so far. You haven't figured out yet what you want to do with your life. That's totally fine. But I love what Ryan was talking about, because having a few different jobs, having a couple different kinds of jobs, maybe in unrelated fields, is totally okay, because it's going to give you a taste of what is out there in the world. And so you'll be able to shape what you want better by having that experience, and it'll give you this experience. It'll be great. The mentality that you're dealing with that we were talking about, about even if they're your relatives, all this kind of stuff, I totally lost my train of thought because I was trying to think of the right word. The mentality that they have, I deal with all the time because my kids are in school, and my kids go to private school where there's lots of people who have lots of money. And it almost seems to me like the more money parents have, the more successful these parents are in their field, the more control they want to have over their kids. The more they have an agenda for what their kids' lives ought to be. They don't take into account what's in their kids' heart. They don't take into account how their kids were built. They don't take into account any of that stuff. They take into account how they themselves were built, the stuff they went through as parents, and the path that they went on. And so then they impute that onto their children without any regard for what's in their children's soul. That makes me mad too, but I see it all over the place. I see it so much. And I remember sitting down with my oldest son, and I remember I was like, you know what, I'm not a typical dad, I don't think. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, because I don't have an agenda for you. I look around and I see all these parents with agendas for their kids and what their kids are supposed to do, and pushing them in a certain direction, and being upset with them if they deviate from this course and all this kind of stuff, right? I don't have a plan for you. My plan for you is to figure out what's in your heart. What are you built to do here? How did God create you? I want to find out what that is. I want to find out what drives you, and I want to lift you up, and I want to provide as many opportunities as possible to move you in that direction. Maybe that's the benefit of living in quote unquote failure for so many years. Maybe that's the benefit. Like, my ego has kind of been stripped right off of me, and my fluff has been all shaved off, and I don't have any status, so I don't really care. But the point is, I watch this happen with all these parents, and they're good people. It's just, they have this, they're set in their minds that their kids ought to be a certain way, but they don't ever bother to talk to their kids enough to figure out what it is that makes their kids tick.
Adopt me.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I can't. I pay enough child support as it is.
Yeah, well, Alfonso says, I think you covered my topic long enough. Let's give the stage to others. Yeah, no, thank you so much.
I know, I'd be tired of listening to me spout too. I'm sorry.
Joe is like a sassy version of Vin Diesel. That's
wow.
Great. That's interesting. I thought Vin Diesel was sassy.
I can't dance like Vin Diesel though.
Oh, bummer. You could practice.
I could practice. I took dance in college. That was I took a couple semesters of dance.
Nice. Well, Alfonso, we're pretty much done. It would be nice to get to another one, but we're kind of out of time. I have some stuff I have to do later today. For me, it's the morning. But yeah, we appreciate that but you do look like Vin Diesel. We do appreciate that you.
Is it the bald head? Like,
no, it's the eyes.
Oh, it's the eyes.
It's the eyes.
I did get told when I sent my picture over Discord to somebody, they were like, "You got kind of this Vin Diesel thing going on," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Cool.
No, Vin Diesel has a Joe thing going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let's talk about puppies and cats.
I can talk. Yeah. I can't talk like him.
Right.
I am Groot. I am Groot. Because he did the Groot voice.
Did he? I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah.
Kendra, you said
I am Groot. What?
When I talk to people, I don't have when I tell people I don't have a degree, you always get, well, you can always go back. I've gotten that so many times. That was Kendra.
Oh, Kendra. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you can always go back. You should. It's like that's fine.
They're absolutely
And
right.
I like
You can.
Mianglio's response to that. It's definitely a good tool to go back and get that degree. It's absolutely a great tool, but it's not for everybody. Life doesn't have one course. It's not a one path road. There's all sorts of different paths for us. So it's like each person is his own person. Um, so it's very useful. It's a great tool. Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. But it
I
doesn't
do want
mean
to say,
everybody needs to do it.
right. And I do want to say, I spouted off quite a bit and I got kind of angry. And you know what? I'm not trying to call out an individual person in any individual field. I'm not trying to call out individual parents, as people. What I'm trying to call out is the thinking that drives this behavior.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling out. I'm not saying these are bad people at all. I'm not saying that they think in their heart they're doing the right thing. And I'm not calling out teachers. Teachers, in a way, like they have their hands tied behind their back and they can't do much because there's a system in place that they have to follow, and the system is the problem, right? It's not the teachers themselves. I know lots of teachers who have a lot of caring and compassion for their students. They can't do what they know in their brain is right because they would get fined or they would get fired or they would get some kind of disciplinary action took against them. But there are really, really good-natured people out there. But this mentality and this thinking is the thing that I'm attacking. Okay. This is one I should have made that disclaimer like probably every
Mm.
30 seconds as I was ranting.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Disclaimers are really, really important.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
But
Absolutely.
yeah,
I think
so
that's
anyway.
a super important thing to say. Yeah.
But it's the
Uh-huh.
mentality. The mentality is the problem.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that's
I'm done
great.
now.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much once again, Alfonso. We really appreciate the great topic. We appreciate that you're willing to sit it out with us and be patient with us as we went over it. We hope that it was helpful. It seems like it was. And yeah, we're just happy that you're here with us and we're able to talk about this with us, because I think this is something that way more than just you face. This is something that all of us have to kind of go through at some point or another. And so to kind of get our thinking changed on it, or at least given a different perspective, even if you don't necessarily agree with everything that we've said, just to have a different perspective is still useful. So yeah, thank you for allowing us to even talk on this, and thanks for opening up and giving us this topic. But yeah, thank you everybody else for sharing your experiences, talking it out, sharing your advice and your thoughts with us as well. We don't always say it, but your chat does guide us in what we say quite often. We can kind of glance over some things and go, "Oh yeah, I want to talk about that," um, or I want to, it inspires us as well. So we really appreciate that, and it helps everybody else in the chat too. So thank you so much, everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. All you lurkers out there, you're great too, and we appreciate you guys. We appreciate and love you all, and we hope you guys have an awesome week. Joe, anything you want to add?
I love you guys. You're amazing.
Yeah.
And
If you have a topic for us,
yep,
oh yeah, go on.
don'tworrywednesday.com.
Yep. Don't worry, Wednesday.com. If you have a topic, we will try to cover it. We'll do our best. And
And we're obviously
yeah,
not
thank you.
professional therapists.
Right. We're not professional psychologists, therapists, or policemen, or firefighters, or curtain makers, or
Curtain makers. That's a new one.
yeah, yeah, that's a new one.
You're right. Although we have toyed with the idea of making a shower curtain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good shower curtain.
So we
too.
could be professional curtain makers.
We could
Well,
be.
we wouldn't be making the curtain.
Wouldn't be professional. We wouldn't be making
We would
them,
design the curtain and then have somebody else make the curtain.
Yeah. That's great. You were stoic and Rogan. Stoic.
Man,
Sorry,
I'm so much better looking than
Stoic
Joe
and
Rogan.
That's true. Nah,
I'm kidding.
I can't say
I'm
that
kidding.
because I wouldn't insult Joe Rogan and say you don't look very good. Joe Rogan looks fine. You both look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See, Kawhi agrees. They think you look better. Anyways,
Ah,
thank you so
thank you.
much. Hope you have a lovely rest of your week, everyone, and I hope to see you next Wednesday as well.
Hmm.
Bye bye.
Love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.